Alright everyone, today we're talking about urban forestry. Now, when most people hear the term urban forestry, they picture trees lining city streets or scattered around parks, and that's part of it, but the concept goes much deeper than that. Urban forestry is really the management of trees and other vegetation in populated areas, in cities, towns, and suburbs, as a living system. If traditional arboriculture is focused on the care of an individual tree, urban forestry zooms out to look at the bigger picture, the entire forest within the city. It's about managing whole populations of trees, understanding how they interact with people, infrastructure, and the environment, and creating strategies that sustain those benefits over time. So it's not just planting or pruning, it's long-term planning, policy, and partnership. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. Urban trees do a lot for us, whether we notice it or not. Environmentally, they clean the air. Their leaves trap dust and absorb pollutants. They take up carbon dioxide and store carbon in their wood, helping fight climate change. They cool our cities by shading streets and buildings, cutting down energy use, and fighting the heat island effect. They soak up stormwater, reducing flood and erosion, and their roots help keep soils in place. Trees even muffle noise and provide habitat for birds and other wildlife, all right there in our neighborhoods. But the benefits aren't just environmental. There are strong economic advantages too. Property values go up in tree-lined areas. Businesses do better in attractive green districts. Trees can even help lower infrastructure costs, since shaded pavement lasts longer and cooler buildings use less energy. And then there's the social side. Green spaces with healthy trees reduce stress, improve mental health, bring neighbors together, and give communities a sense of pride and identity. It's easy to underestimate how much a tree contributes to the livability of a city until you start to lose them. Now, when we talk about managing an urban forest, sustainability is the big goal. Keeping those benefits going not just for today, but for generations ahead. A sustainable urban forest is healthy, diverse, and resilient, able to withstand storms, pests, droughts, and changes in urban landscape. Achieving that means we need good data and good planning. That's where inventories and management tools come in. Urban foresters collect detailed information about the tree species, size, condition, and location. They use geographic information systems and specialized software to analyze the benefits trees provide and to guide maintenance and planting decisions. Urban forestry also demands coordination. Trees share space with power lines, sidewalks, sewers, and buildings, so urban foresters have to work hand in hand with planners, engineers, public works departments, utility companies, and the community itself. A successful program brings all those voices to the table to make sure the urban forest fits into the city's infrastructure rather than constantly conflicting with it. An organized urban forestry program usually starts with a clear mission and goals, backed by policies and a solid management plan. The plan might include a citywide inventory, a planting strategy, maintenance schedules, a risk management program, and a budget. Community involvement is key. The public has to see the value of their trees and participate in caring for them. When it comes to planting and maintenance, species selection and site suitability are critical. Urban trees have a tough life. They face compacted soils, limited root space, air pollution, reflected heat, and mechanical damage. So it's important to select species that can handle those stresses and still thrive. Young trees need care in their early years, like watering, mulching, and pruning to establish well. Long-term maintenance is just as important, including pruning for structure and safety, monitoring health, and, when necessary, removal and replacement. Risk management is another big responsibility. Urban trees grow in areas with people, cars, and buildings, so identifying hazards and managing them proactively is essential for safety and liability reasons. That's why regular inspections, pruning cycles, and clear communication with the public are all part of a healthy program. Of course, all of this costs money, so funding and justification matter. The good news is that we now have data to quantify the benefits trees provide: energy savings, stormwater reduction, air quality improvement, carbon sequestration, and increased property value. Being able to show those numbers helps communities understand that trees aren't just aesthetic, they're assets that pay back. Another growing priority in urban forestry is equity. Not every neighborhood has the same amount of tree cover. Often, lower income areas have far fewer trees, which means higher temperatures, poor air quality, and fewer green spaces. A sustainable, ethical urban forestry program makes it a goal to plant and maintain trees equitably so that every resident, regardless of where they live, enjoys the same environmental and social benefits. Now, urban forestry also faces challenges. Development pressures can mean the loss of mature trees as cities expand. Climate change is bringing more intense storms, droughts, and pests. Funding is often limited, and public awareness can be low. People may not realize how vital trees are until a storm wipes out the canopy, or a street feels suddenly bare. So part of our job as arborists and educators is to keep making that connection, to help people see trees as essential infrastructure, not just decoration. So what does all this mean for you as an arborist? It means your work fits into something much bigger than the single tree you're pruning or planting. Every cut, every planting choice, every conversation with a client or a city official contributes to the larger urban forest. Understanding that bigger systems help you make better decisions day to day. It means being familiar with the tools and data urban foresters use, knowing how to communicate with planners and engineers, and being able to explain the practical value of trees in terms people understand: health, safety, savings, and community pride. At the end of the day, urban forestry is really about partnership between nature and people, between professionals and the public. It's about caring for a living network that makes our cities healthier, cooler, and more resilient. When we start thinking not just about the single tree in front of us, but the entire forest around us, the canopy, the streets, the neighborhoods, the generations to come, that's when we're truly practicing urban forestry. All right, time for some call-in questions. Caller 1.
Hi there. Our neighborhood association has been trying to plant more street trees, but the city keeps saying we have to get a permit and use their approved species list. Why can't we just pick what we want and get planting?
Hey Marcy, great question, and it's actually a common one. The reason cities have those rules isn't to make life harder, it's to protect the long-term health of the urban forest. Some species simply don't handle urban conditions well. Maybe their roots lift sidewalks, or they drop heavy fruit, or they're all invasive. Urban foresters choose approved species based on things like soil volume, overhead wires, drought tolerance, and local pests. So when the city asks you to stick to their list, it's because they're thinking system-wide, canopy diversity, safety, and maintenance over decades, not just how pretty the tree looks when it goes in. Caller 2.
We got a lot of big old oaks on our block and people are worried they're dangerous. The city hasn't inspected them in years. How do we know if a tree is really a risk?
Good one. Safety is always a concern in urban settings. A big tree isn't automatically a dangerous tree, but it should be regularly inspected. Certified arborists are trained to do risk assessment. They'll look for things like large cracks, decay, dead limbs, or root plate issues. The key is to assess the likelihood of failure and the potential target below. If you can, encourage your city or homeowners association to set up a systematic inspection schedule. A well-maintained, mature tree is usually much safer and far more valuable than removing it out of fear. Alright, it's quiz time. Urban forestry primarily focuses on A. Individual tree care and pruning techniques. B. Managing large populations of trees and green infrastructure with cities. C. Timber production and rural forest management. Or D. Tree breeding and propagation research. The answer is B. Managing large populations of trees and green infrastructure within cities. The term sustainability in urban forestry refers to A. Planting trees that grow the fastest. B. Managing tree populations so their benefits can continue indefinitely. C. Focusing on low-maintenance species. Or D. Reducing city budgets for tree care. The answer is B. Managing tree populations so their benefits can continue indefinitely. True or false? Urban forestry deals only with trees in public spaces such as parks and boulevards. The answer is false. It includes both public and private trees within urban areas. Short answer questions. Explain one economic, one environmental, and one social benefit of urban trees. An answer could be, for economic, increased property values or reduced energy costs. For environmental, improved air quality or stormwater reduction. And for social, reduced stress and stronger community identity.